Welcome back everyone to EGFM and the Big East Esports. My name is Canopit here with Shinkari once again as we head into our second game of the night. Bulldogs versus St. John's. We promised you guys a night of top class action. Now it's time to see one of our top two teams taken to the field against the Bulldogs.
Yeah, as we finally get into this next round of games, we now have Butler Bulldogs securing 8-0-3, coming off of a win versus the Friars, and St. John's is technically second place because they're the team that they're also sharing the top of the table with DePaul got a bye this round, so they are 9-0-2 and coming off of a win versus UConn.
And of course, for St. John's, it was a big week last time as they managed to beat DePaul in maybe, secure themselves in position as our number one team. Let's get into Champ Select though and see last time round the underdog team went for something pretty crazy in Champ Select. Butler Bulldogs, as you said, definitely a much closer matchup between them and St. John's.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're now getting into a bit of Champ Select here. Udyr and so many jungle bans being immediately thrown off the table.
As we can see, the Bulldogs actually banning out Olaf themselves, though MGL does main it. You can see, we've got so many bans which could be headed towards the jungle. There's a lot of respect from both sides to the junglers as Hecarim is stripped away as well. Could we even see all six headed towards jungle?
Yeah, just do all six. Yeah, get rid of, get rid of Trundle. Ban Lee Sin. Ban Lee Sin. Give me the Lee Sin ban. That should be a final good 6 jungle ban. Let's see what we got. A Seraphine. Okay, cool. Okay, no, that's fine. But 5 jungle bans. That's insane. That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a shame we didn't get all 6, but a Seraphine played by both Scores and Reborn for St. John's. So very sensible pick up there. Of course, we were expecting to see those jungle picks rather coming early before we get into the second ban phase, and we don't even have any more junglers left.
Yeah, we're digging at the bottom of the barrel here. We're now picking up Graves, who has seen better days in the jungle, especially in solo queue. But High MCZ has been able to pick up a lot of junglers fairly well, and picking up a hyper farming champion like Graves has been pretty comfortable for him. So immediately answered with the bot lane picks of Alistar and Kai'Sa.
Yeah, this is Lunstorm and Mojo Romo. So you can guess what they like to do. They are a power pairing for the Butler squad. So picking them up early on makes a heck of a lot of sense. We have to see what the answer is going to be from St. John's. They're threatening to bring out the Aatrox, but will they dare?
Ooh. Oh, okay. So they immediately swap back to Thresh here. Thresh is a counter pick for against the Alistar, and this is also a comfort pick for Reborn. I mean, Reborn hasn't been playing a super lot of Thresh this current season, but has 265 games and a 56% win rate from season 9 and 75 games with 59% win rate from season 10. So this is definitely a comfort pick for Reborn here, as Gnar being picked up for Caught Dead.
We did have our concerns about Caught Dead. They haven't shown a massive amount of really powerful picks, but speaking of power picks for Butler, they're going to be locking in, somehow sneaking through the Lilia past all of those jungle bans. This is another strong pick for MGL.
Yeah, and this is, honestly, I think this is another jungle pick that's kind of like scraping the bottom of the barrel here, as we see, like, once again, 5 bans away, so there's not a whole lot to pick with here. Lilia has been seeing a little bit more play in the jungle as more focus is putting on to maybe brawling in the jungle, as we saw with the Trundle pick, as well as, a lot of nerfs to the experience and gold that you get in jungle camps. So Lilia, a very good brawler, a very good team fighter, doesn't need to farm super hard like the Graves does, but is a champion that does have some very good clears as well.
So without the AD carry, without the bot lane being picked up for St. John's, it's allowed for Butler to go in heavy on the AD carry bans. Ezreal and Aphelios both taken off the field. The top laners of Butler Mac have been hammered down. We've seen them plenty before on the Vladimir, but it's going to be the Pantheon locked down instead.
Yeah, and those are two very comfort picks for Mac here. And honestly, taking Butler Mac off of some comfort picks might give a little bit more, just a little bit more safety to Caught Dead in the top lane. If we look at comparisons just from their solo queue rankings, Caught Dead is a gold 1 compared to Mac's diamond 4. So definitely a lot more practice in terms of solo queue for Mac in comparison to Caught Dead. So obviously giving him just a little bit more ease in the top lane, especially with this ranged versus melee matchup of Pantheon versus Gnar, should be very good for him.
So last pick coming in, we know the Sivir is there for Basham, and it will be the Syndra into the mid lane for Scores. Scores, we've seen them do pretty darn well for the team. Very, very strong team fighter, and they're going to have the punch to back it up in this game.
Yeah, Syndra has been popping up a little bit more in the mid lane as we're seeing like the supports finally work their way back down, and some folks who are hard buying the Moonstone Renewer are starting to go back into the bot lane as well. Syndra also a pretty safe matchup as well, but immediately Irelia is going to be picked up for the mid laner Levi here.
Oh my gosh, could it truly be, Shinkari, the return of Levi's Irelia? This was the pick that blew up the world before, swapping up into the top lane, just rolling over the game. I kind of forgot about it because I assumed the Irelia would get banned. It was so ridiculously strong before.
Yeah, and but it's like so hard to really counter ban a team, especially when all 3 of your early bans are devoted towards the jungle. It's just still so insane to me that we saw Kai'Sa get through, we saw Alistar get through, we saw the Levi's Irelia get through, we saw so many still comfort picks for Butler get through here, and this is not looking. It's crazy to me how much attention was put on MGL here.
Yeah, and after all is said and done, MGL still ended up on a strong pick. But as we're getting close to our second and final game of the evening, top of the table action with St. John's, a lot to lose here. What are you thinking about these two teams overall coming out of this pick and ban?
Well, I'm definitely putting up a question mark towards St. John's here, just because there isn't like a very dedicated tank. Obviously, Gnar, a very strong champion, builds tank, but is a tank half the time. Like, a lot of folks talk about how tanky Gnar is, but if he's not there on Mega Gnar, he's not a frontliner. He's going to be trying to gather up as much rage and turning into that Mega Gnar and staying in the backline as much as possible, because before then, he's very squish. On the other side of that, we have Thresh as another frontliner, but because he's running on that support kind of like welfare, I'll say, he's not going to be as tanky as some of these other as this Ornn that was banned away by St. John's here. So it's interesting. They have a lot of damage. They have the Syndra, they have the Graves. That's where a lot of their damage is going to be coming from. Sivir obviously has that very strong utility, but at the same time, it's just, there's not a whole lot of frontline here. And meanwhile, if we look at Butler, they have Lilia, who is deceptively tanky. Like, she builds some tank items, runs in and out of the front line. They have an Alistar who, is on that welfare, but does have a lot more defensive utility, and also Pantheon as well, who is of another deceptively tanky character.
So, if we're looking at win conditions here, then if we don't have the tank for St. John's, if we've got more tankiness on the side of Butler, let's talk the game overall. What's going to need to happen here for St. John's to stay up at the top of the table?
Well, St. John's is definitely going to want to put their focus onto the mid lane here. Syndra obviously does a better job of putting out a lot more damage than the Sivir does. Obviously, folks have been putting as much damage into Sivir as possible, even building Duskblade of Drekthar in some cases, which is absolutely insane to me.
Okay, and for over on the side of Butler, we mentioned, of course, Levi has shown their ability against Yukon to take over games entirely. Do you think it's going to be them? actually hold the thought on that one because we're about to get into the game itself. Before we do, let's have some words from our universities before we get this second game started. Welcome back, everyone, to Big East. And of course, St. John's are one thing, but the Butler Bulldogs are another, as we're already into this second game. Butler, the underdogs in this game, with a huge opportunity to make a strong run towards the top of the table if they can take down one of the big dogs themselves.
Yeah, we're already looking at Butler's team comp here. Line of scrimmage has already been put across the board here, and early wards are already going out. So Butler MGL is going to be spotted out towards the chickens here, and that is going to be Reborn's ward used as well. So that's going to be a little awkward, placing some defensive warding in the river towards the early game, but it should be back up by the time it's something important.
So we didn't get time quite to finish off talking about the Bulldogs overall. So we're talking about scores, we're talking about Basham for the side of St. John's. For the Butler Bulldogs, who and where are they going to need to succeed to get the win here?
I think they're going to be looking at the bottom half of the map. Obviously, Mac doesn't absolutely need to carry in order to be a force for the Butler team to win this game, but Lundstorm and Levi definitely will need that attention, as Levi already tries to put as much pressure onto scores as possible.
As said before, and we'll say it, I'm sure, many, many times during this game, Levi, absolute shining star here on this Aurelia pick, is caught dead, actually getting aggressed onto pretty heavily by Butler Mac, who's seen much more frequently on the Vladimir, but so far they're trading aggressively, and they seem comfortable in the matchup.
Yeah, and I really have to hand it to Butler. I mean, I talk about this a lot whenever they're here, but they play flex fives more so than they play solo queue, to the point where Mojo Romo and MGL are unranked. They're not ranked in solo queue. They only play flex fives, which is insane to me.
Yeah, well, if it results in the teamwork, that's all that's going to matter here, and it's going to be truly important in this game. Keep an eye out for our junglers to see if they do decide to intervene early on. Looks like they're both concentrating on farming right now, as the bottom lane trading has been fairly fierce, but you see that Basham bringing the tier into lane rather than anything more punchy.
Yeah, we kind of see this from Sivir builds now. She's going to go into a Mana Moon and then build Duskblade of Drekthar, going for a more high damage kind of lethality build, which is very interesting because typically Sivers in the past will go for things like Static Shiv, they'll go for high attack speed things in order to complement her high wave clear.
Now we can see, even with just that tier for Basham, there's been a lot of pressure being put down by Reborn. As you pointed out, the counter pick working pretty well so far, as Butler Mac trying to get aggressively into the face of Dead. Flashes forward, forces the flash out, caught Dead as well, but High Amcizi comes in from the side. We have got the Lilia of MGL coming quickly, and Butler Mac's going to die, I think, before they come in. First blood goes across to St. J, and MGL doesn't want to stick around.
Yeah, I think MGL is just going to pick up some farm here and make sure that the wave doesn't push in super hard into the turret. But so many flashes, so many summoner spells were used during that fight here, and ooh, we might have a little bit. No, okay. I just want to be prepared. So many flashes were spent in that top lane in order to get that first blood. We saw 4 flashes all spent, and that is an insane amount of utility spent that we might see the junglers revisit the top lane relatively soon.
And of course, once Butler starts bringing the sleep into the mix, you can expect more long-range power. We saw in the previous game the power of the globals to turn any fight to your advantage. We've got the Grand Starfall from the Butler Mac if they can get out of this top lane and start interfering on the map as a whole.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's one of the big reasons to pick Pantheon, like having that very long range, nearly global ultimate, as well as teleport, means that you can provide a very, very strong presence across the entire map, which means pressuring objectives, especially early, becomes very easy for your team, and especially combined with the fact that Butler is such a team that plays so often with each other, has that kind of pre-built synergy, is very, very good for them.
You know, the only big fly in the element right now for Butler is this top lane. They pull him held behind, but down at the bottom, nice play, brings Lunstorm back in, eats the flash. Mojoromo, I think, is going to give up their life as Reborn, not brought back on the tower. Lovely use of death sentence there to bring Lunstorm back in. The tower has been aggroed, but that is a cleanup for St. John's.
Oh my gosh, if we could get a second to replay that, that was absolutely insane. So starting that off, we already see Reborn and Basham starting to use, and this is kind of like the power of Reborn on Thresh here. He uses the Lantern. Okay, here comes the Lantern here. HiMCZ comes in, immediately flash and flays both of the bottom laners to their team here, so they're both forced to press the flash button. Mojoromo's taken very low, forces Lunstorm to press that heal there, but it's still not enough to keep them alive. Insanely well played by Reborn. Absolutely insane.
Yeah, we thought that Butler playing together so much would be the ones to try and force off that group play, but instead St. John with a solid advantage. That's 2 kills over to CZ, who we've seen go off big for the squad, and a single kill for Reborn on the Thresh, who is currently out and about on the map, trying to make sure the vision stays in St. John's favor.
Yeah, maybe he's roam. I'm not quite sure from this roam from both supports here. Maybe they're like dedicated to like warding while the junglers are starting to like hyper farm, as we've seen from this Lilia and this Graves so far in this game. Like they've only really shown up in lane once for the Lilia and twice for the Graves so far. So these are definitely champions that want to be farming, that have been farming just a little bit more, and also have been not showing up in lane as much. So getting this vision however you can seems pretty important.
I mean, that's going to fuel the plays that come through later on. Knowing where MGL is on the map at any given time just gives you that extra degree of safety to go make sure your plays work. Again, touching back on that top lane, though, the biggest CS advantage is up there for Caught Dead on the Gnar. We wondered about whether or not they would be able to cope against the Pantheon. They seem to be doing pretty spectacularly so far as the first Drake is started up.
Yeah, this is going to be Butler. They have the priority, so this is theirs to start. But HiMCZ and Reborn are here, and that looks like a teleport coming in as well.
Reborn will get caught up as Butler turn back, but the outstill gets blown up. Mojoromo down in the early parts. MGL dancing through the fight on the Lilia as Reborn does get taken down. There's a lot of damage there. Basham pouring it out as Mac is forced to fall back. The numbers telling here to St. John's as they grab the double kill. Levi is here to try and save it. Gets one. It's against 4 and falls as well. The Drake goes to St. John's, and that is a disaster for the Bulldogs.
Oh yeah, this was Butler started up this team fight here. If we could take a look at the replay really quick, HiMCZ already gets a pretty good kill very early on, and I'm probably going to be tooting his horn a little too much because I am a support player myself, but oh my gosh, Reborn has been playing so well on this Thresh. Butler Levi showing up just a little too late to the party. He does have some pretty clear kills here, but he's tanking up Dragon. He's tanking up 4 members of the enemy team. He might have been able to pick up maybe 1 more kill had he not taken a shot from the Dragon, but this is already starting to swing into St. John's favor as they are 9 minutes into this game, up 3.6k gold.
You see Levi trying to take it on themselves to salvage the game as they are tearing through scores. The stun comes out just in time as CZ is there to make sure. Here comes the Starfall though as Mac goes in, gets the stun. CZ could be in major trouble here as they are forced to flash away. Butler, they want to get back in this game. They have got reinforcements. MGL comes in to match Reborn's roam to the mid. It's 3v3, another stun coming through. Reborn locked in place. The box comes down. Mac does not take tower aggro, and still they will survive.
Yeah, this is very good roam from Butler here. They spent only an ultimate from Mac in order to get this 3v2 here, but they weren't really able to get anything out of it. So this is kind of a big tempo swing towards St. John's here, especially with that big ultimate being spent and now a lane swap coming through on St. John's here. Caught Dead is now on the bot side, and Reborn and Basham are moving towards the top here.
Maybe this allows a little bit of tower plating to go across to Butler here as they got the 1v2 advantage, but So far, gold heavily in favor of St. John. See, hi, I'm CZ with 4 kills so far and a CS lead. This is one hell of a graze as Levi gets caught with death sentence. That's a beautiful double stun, decides to go in anyway. Drops down the ult to try and keep them from getting away. They're very low already. The rest of Butler, where are you? Not there in time. Mac decides to go in anyway. Gets caught up and deleted as MGL. Surely you have to fall back here.
God, Reborn is just popping off this game. This Thresh play has been so good. He starts off that fight, and this is showing of a very confident support player when you know exactly the amount of stuff he can do here. If we're looking at the replay, like he's already dealing, like throwing Levi and forcing him to use his abilities to get back onto Graves here and peeling
can we come back
insanely well. Oh yeah, yeah. We might have
we've got a fight going on right
here.
now. Yeah. So St. John's, they're wasting no time whatsoever getting back into the mix. Butler, you can see how desperate they are to try and make a play of their own, to get more than 2 kills. But each step, each time they get more desperate, they're getting denied, they're getting counterplayed. St. John's are toying with them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Butler is making the right move here. They're matching the lane swaps and trying to give more advantageous matchups. Obviously, we see Levi matching Caught Dead in the bot, and we see Mac matching scores in the mid, and we see both bot lanes matching each other in the top side here. And this is and they're making good decisions here. It's just not 100% following through, and that's probably what's setting them behind in this, as we see maybe a bit more of a scuffle in the bot lane here and a bunch of pings around this Rift Herald.
Yeah, we have got Graves, CZ coming in for the back, but it's looking like a fight for Butler here as they actually managed to force out a summoner advantage in front of the Herald pit, which scores is low coming to this fight, but so is MGL. Numbers favoring Butler here as the dive in the bot lane was not successful. Basham coming in as reinforcement as the death sentence goes wide. CZ has made up. It's 4 versus 3. Lunstorm is a long way away. St. John's to get a chance. The box drops down. Mac in major trouble. Somehow manages to get away. No, the death sentence will take them out on the backside as Scores looking for MGL doesn't quite land the stun. Might get punished here. Knocked up Lunstorm. Finally arriving into the fight for the main damage. MGL backing off though, and it's just more bad news for Butler.
Yeah, and this is more and more I'm seeing Reborn's just playing this Thresh so incredibly well. Every single time I look at these team fights, it's just Reborn just putting so much. All he was doing was walking towards 3 members of Butler, and they were like, no, don't get caught. We can't get caught here. And that's been the tune of almost all these team fights.
Yeah, I mean, spectacular play so far. Such a high kill participation, only outmatched by CZ, who's been ridiculous on this Graves. You see Levi trying to win the 1v1, but it's not looking good. Butler again getting pulled into the team fight. They can't win. They're so far behind. Matt going down very low already as Mojo Romo dances into the fight. Lilting Lullaby gives him the time to go back in. The burst. Can they find it? CZ is dropped. That's a huge amount of damage gone, but Scores comes in from the side to clean up the fight. Looks like we might even be seeing a tower dive here. The Syndra damage is huge. Scores down very low as Butler Mac drops and the execute from Scores. The double kill. That's now 3 different members of St. John, all with multiple kills.
Yeah, and that's a 4 for 3 there. And now but St. John's now has tempo in this mid lane a little bit, and they might be lane swapping once again. But if you are Butler, this is very, very scary. That Sivir is 3-0 and 10, has that Mana Mune, nearly has that Duskblade of Drekthar finally finished up. So this is starting to look just a little bit more in favor of St. John's, more and more, as nearly 6,000 gold at 14 minutes separates these two teams.
We keep an eye on whether or not St. John are able to grow that. Certainly it's looking like they've got a chance to move in and get this Drake started up. Last time Butler were drawn into the fight, did not go very well for them because Levi wasn't able to join in time. This time Butler Mac up in the top lane has got the TP, has got the Grand Starfall if they can walk down quick enough. You can see here St. John's, they get themselves a speed shrine. They've got the position to move in for the Drake. TP actually going up to the top lane instead. That's how confident St. John are.
Oh yeah, there's no. Oh yeah, wait. There's an immediate response from Mac here.
This dragon still goes to St. John, and CZ gets across the wall. St. John, I don't know if they're even satisfied with just getting a Drake here because they've got a numbers advantage. MGL just on the top of your screen as Mojo Romo will get caught out, drops on the ult to stay alive. Butler trying to make this one work. There is the lilting lullaby. Could this finally be the play? Matt gets chewed to pieces. MGL trying to do the damage, but Basham is too damn strong in the Sivir already. Triple kill coming in. The Bulldogs get put down. St. John, they are absolutely destroying this game. They want to show up just as much as we saw in game number 1.
Yeah, this is absolutely insane from St. John's here. And I have to say, like, Butler is making some really great calls here, but they're just... And this is the gold lead just showing here, as now it becomes nearly 10,000 gold, as they're following up on multi-man sleeps. They're getting a good Irelia ultimates. Alistar is getting multi-man knockups, but it doesn't seem like the damage is there. Either the damage isn't there, or St. John's is just killing them faster than they can deal damage to St. John's. And Levi has been making some decent calls of diving into the backline here. That's exactly what he wants to be doing, but the damage just isn't there to follow it up. Now, Sivir now has a Muramana and a Duskablade of Drakthar here, so this is a huge lead, 6-0 and 11 for Basham.
I mean, it's just crazy, and you're right, you know, for Butler, it feels like they're doing everything right, apart from being 10,000 gold behind at 16 minutes. They're trying to salvage as much as they can. If you look at the individual gold between the two AD carries, it's not even close. Over 2,000 gold separate them. The jungle difference here is ludicrous.
Yeah, 119 CS for Graves, 7, 1, and 11 coming into this game, and it's actually kind of upsetting because so many bans were put onto the jungle here, trying to at least put either MGL or Hayam CZ on the back foot here, take them off a champion they're comfortable with. But Hayam CZ, 5 jungle bans, still playing insanely well on the Graves here.
Yeah, I mean, just absolutely ridiculous. That's the shield bow and the collector just to keep on spiraling that gold. And those executes, of course, that much harder to keep track of how much damage is going in the team fight when you have to watch out for being collected. Levi is going to be scooped up by the St. John's team as they've got no help coming. Oh, maybe they do. Starfall. Butler Max too late to the play, though, as Butler have been so many times in this game.
Luckily for Levi there, the ultimate did start, but did not go on cooldown. So that's only one ultimate spent on the top lane here, that Grand Starfall. But this is now the opportunity for St. John's to pressure this top inner turret. And here's Reborn just walking forward, pressing that W key, and he's just going to get right in there.
Butler Matt gets caught, locked in the box. What's in the box? It's Butler being absolutely slaughtered. The advantage of St. John lies on the push forward under the tower. They take casualties, but Basham still stands. Look at the disrespect. And I think that was, in fact, I have to assume that's a surrender coming out from the Bulldogs there. The game ending at 18 minutes 30. I think that has to be unprecedented.
Yeah, that's insane. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh,
okay, wait, hold on a minute. Oh, we do have a pause.
We'll have to wait for confirmation that, of course, we do know that a lot of the time the spectator... Oh, no! Wait, take it back. It wasn't a surrender after all.
Yeah.
Hooray! In fact, it was a double kill for MGL. Butler is still in this fight. They are so far behind, but like the Bulldogs that give their name, they're tenacious. They refuse to give in, even when perhaps they should.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of a hiccup there for our spectating clients, so it should be relatively okay. We are just coming back off of a pause here at 18:53, so we should be just back into this game already. I mean, this is just insane coming out from St. John's here. They are so powerful. I believe Caught Dead just tanking up that turret there is, I believe, was the point of was him DCing, but it's funny because I was about to be like, you know, maybe he's tanking up turret because he wants to preserve the minion wave so that they don't die to turret. So, okay, all right. No, it's a top DC. That's fine. But this is just absolutely insane coming from them. 13,000 gold now separates these two teams.
Yeah, that goal lead, we're worried about whether or not they could grow it. It has grown exponentially for Butler. There's so many of these bounties they can pick up here. 400, 300, and 700 from Basham as well. It won't make up the difference. It was sure as heck help. We're moving into Ocean-style territory as Mac gets caught.
God.
They're going to give up their life for the Gromp. There's no one else from Butler coming to help them, so they will be deleted as Basham becomes legendary just before the Ocean Drake spawns.
Man, and you know, I'm gonna say it again. I don't care if I'm a broken record. Reborn on Thresh is so good. It's so good. All he did was walk forward. His team wasn't fully in position yet, but he was ready. He was prepared. He was came in, got the hook, got the lantern, got a great flay, threw down the box, which has a fairly short cooldown because of the itemization that he's doing, and was able to pick up basically a free kill onto Mac, who's trying to get back into this game.
And is struggling mightily as tower number 6 to Butler's 0. 3 Drakes to Butler's 0. Reborn goes in to buy space, but the Starfall comes in. This could be, again, the opportunity for Butler. Mac the flash away, and Scores will be forced to flash in turn. Nice stun, but it doesn't look like Butler are going to be able to find their play here. Basham flashes away as well. Butler, they've done what they can, but ultimately they're not getting the kills. Caught dead, gonna slam and jam, and Mojiromo against the side of the wall, bringing them back into the base, flashing away again. This Butler Mac gets caught with both sides of the boomerang, but Butler are too damaged to keep on with this fight.
Yeah, then it's St. John's is just doing such a great job of forcing out these ultimates here and knowing where they can go. Butler is making the right calls, using the right abilities at the right times, but they don't have the damage to secure these kills. Had they more gold, had Levi just a little bit more damage, Scores was dead there 100%. He was caught by the Pantheon. He was caught by the Irelia ultimate as well. He's a Syndra, doesn't have a lot of resistances, and doesn't have a lot of HP. Probably would have gone down had he not flashed, had he had the enemy team a little bit more gold, a little bit more damage. But this is just kind of the tune of the game we've seen so far. Butler making the right calls, but not having the gold to back them up.
Yeah, it's so painful. You're seeing so much of what's made us, fans of Butler before in some of these plays, but it just doesn't seem like Butler know how to adjust their game plan for when they're this far behind. Perhaps they just haven't had that experience so far. Because right now, every fight they're being drawn into by St. John's is going in St. John's favor. 2 different carries with 9 kills apiece.
Ooh, yeah. Levi also looking for a little bit of an engage here. This might actually be a fight.
CZ is so strong though. Levi gets annihilated. 1v2. This Graves is a world ender. There's a low health turret here as well. That's going to make 8 towers to 0. There's 2 inhibitors down. Butler, the Bulldogs, on their very last legs here as the super minions are pouring into the base. St. John's, incredibly crisp play.
Yeah, sometimes you can just... And to put it in Magic the Gathering terms, sometimes all you need to do is win is Unga Bunga turn card sideways. And that is exactly what St. John's is doing here. They are just exerting so much pressure. They're so far ahead offensively that they might actually be ending the game here.
Yeah, Butler, they've got one last fight in them, but it's going to be a very disadvantaged fight. Caught dead with the triple ult as Mojiromo tries to do what they can. CZ and Basham, though, they have all the damage in the world. Butler Mac getting CC'd to death. These guys are just padding their stats right now as they're sending a message to the pool. They beat them last week. They're looking to dominate the entire division.
Yeah, they're just trying. They're trying so hard to get Lundstorm here, but they're just gonna end up finishing the game. Absolutely insane. That Sivir 10-0 and 16. The Graves 12-1 and 13. These stats are absolutely insane. St. John's telling us why they deserve to be top of the table, why they deserve to be tied for first place against DePaul. Absolutely incredible.
I was looking again and again for a way for Butler to get back into that game, but it just wasn't happening at all. I think the only point where it seemed like there might be something going on was ultimately, the Nara up in the top lane wasn't as dominating as the rest of the team of St. John's were, but with that small exception, the rest of St. John's operating as a well-oiled machine, just executing the Bulldogs again and again.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm a broken record. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and admit it. I'm a broken record. Maybe I'm a little biased, but Reborn, oh my lord, Reborn popped off that game, enabled his team so much in that early game, had so many good picks in the late, had such good peel for his carries whenever they got caught out. He enabled his team so hard, and I wonder how many of these kills were because of how well Reborn was playing on this Thresh.
I mean, 22 assists by the end of the game gives you a pretty solid idea of just how much of an influence Reborn was able to have there. I mean, it was just incredibly crisp. You call it out from the very beginning of the champ select, or rather the very end, that counter pick of the Alistar just absolutely ruining Mojo Romo's day. I mean, there was no success in the bottom lane, there was no success in the mid lane, and top lane itself was a disaster. That Pantheon not working at all, despite the best efforts of Mac.
Yeah, but we are going to get a bit of an interview from St. John's coach Andy. We might be able to get him in here in just a little bit to talk about that game. And